Welcome to the Cabrera Lab podcast.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
I am fantastic.
Oh, see, that's a regular word this time. Not some stupendamundamudamatum word that you make up.
I'm doing good. Just got out of the sauna.
I have a cool thing I want to talk about. Something that we've talked about over the years in a lot of different contexts, but it actually came up in a couple different ways. So I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
And we're going to think it through
Okay.
using systems thinking.
Yep.
That's what we're going to do. We're looking at a problem that kids in school face today. And actually, you'll remember, one close friend of ours also faced it and bumped into it at work. So kids and grown-ups are having the same problem.
Okay.
Question is, what do you do when you've done the job well, even better than what was asked of the job, but your boss or your professor or your teacher demands that you follow the rubric to the letter? So like you're doing really good work, you're actually understanding the problem, maybe even creating new knowledge about something, but the grade is the grade and the rubric is the rubric, and you're told, no, that's too much. What do you do about that?
It's like, just, am I getting this right? Like it's almost like you did like some of your best learning, but it doesn't get you at the A, so you have to like change it up to get the A.
Right.
Yeah.
It reminds me.
Strategic compliance versus
It is strategic, yes.
Versus authentic engagement.
Right, and if it's institutionalized, it's part of an entire system, which now it seems like it's a part of it's part of K-12, and it's also based on our friend part of higher education graduate programs.
Well, and it's part of work, and it's
Yeah.
part of life. Yeah, it's interesting. Funny story.
Let's hear it.
When I was young, when I was in school, I loved building dioramas with my dad. So we would build these like immaculate dioramas of in particular, Native American villages.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they were amazing. They'd have like dirt, and we'd use all kinds of stuff. My dad was pretty good at it. Yeah. Like the ones in the Natural History Museum.
Yeah. I love them.
And so I was really, really excited about that, but I was less excited about like whatever book I was reading
Right.
in the about Native Americans or about whatever.
Right.
So I built a whole diorama, and I was so excited about it, and it was huge. It was like the size of this, like this in front of us here.
Yeah.
And I brought it into I think it was like 4th grade or something, 5th grade, 6th grade, somewhere in there. And I brought it in for the assignment rather than the book report. And my teacher didn't give me, she said, I can't accept this.
She wouldn't even accept it.
No.
She wouldn't even look at it because it didn't follow.
I was like so excited. And I look back on that, I'm like, isn't that what we want kids to be? Like really engaged and really excited and self-motivated and like...
Yeah, but here's the other thing.
And then we just go, no, doesn't fit the rubric.
No, but here's the other thing. Think about how much detailed research about Native Americans
Totally.
you had to
learned way
do
more.
to make an accurate diorama.
Hundo P.
Which is probably beyond
way beyond.
the original assignment.
Way beyond.
And
this is the story of my educational careers. I would go like beyond, because I would just take something and I'd get hyper-focused on it, which is I tend to do. And then it would be like, no, that doesn't fit what we said.
Right. So then the question is...
It works in life, though. It's great for life. Sometimes. I would say sometimes. Yeah. It's not great for life.
What do you mean?
It depends. Like if you're in an entrepreneurial kind of world, if you're in a science kind of world, places that are truly like you're pushing the envelope on something, then it works great. But if you're in like a bureaucracy,
right,
then you're going to get your hands slapped. You're going to get squashed.
So then that's a good question. I mean, I think about it from many different, for parents, what do you do when you have a kid who's naturally engaged and wants to extend their learning, but yet also has to comply to get the grades? What do you do with college students who, in the same situation, professionals who are like, hey, I actually went beyond this?
This is actually a really complex issue, right? Because it's like, on the one hand, you can say, well, situational intelligence is the ability to adapt to situations. So, if you're at the DMV and you want a license, they're going to make you follow a rubric. And if you don't follow the rubric, you're not going to get your license. And if you try to argue with the DMV, you're going to get
worse.
It's just not going to go well, right?
Nobody argues with the DMV.
Nothing goes well at the DMV other than doing exactly what you're supposed to do. So in one sense, it's part of growing up that you learn to navigate these systems, right? But in another sense, I think you have to be careful. This is going to sound completely bonkers. Yeah. I think you have to be careful because you're this like individual, right? And then you're interacting in this system, right? And so you know a hamburger, right?
I am aware of hamburgers.
So like you have a big hamburger, and then sliders are like little tiny hamburgers, right? If we change the constitution of the hamburger and the slider to include caca.
You're talking about shit burgers.
Shit burger. You know, there's a shit burger and then there's a shit slider. It's a little shit burger. A baby shit burger. The problem is that if you're constantly doing that in life, you have to think about delay. So there's a lot of systems concepts that are in what I'm saying here. So I'm trying to kind of navigate this big system. So everything you're dealing with is a CAS, a complex adaptive system. And one of the things that we can take away from that is that the micro makes the macro, right? The little things that repeat themselves and collectively create dynamics over time will create the emergent property that becomes your life, right? Or the situation or the system behavior.
Right.
The other thing that we can take from it is that humans are notoriously crappy at conceptualizing and registering delay.
Yes.
Right? So if something happens here, and then if there's a cause here and an effect there, humans are great at that. They go, cause, effect, I'm good. But if there's a cause here and the effect is in time way down here, humans are not, we notoriously are not good at that delay.
Which is why our choices here sometimes are not great.
Totally.
And it's why we have unintended consequences.
Totally. It's also why we create tons of externalities that we don't consider the other in these decisions that we make. And the micro things that we do have these delayed reactions.
Right.
And the net effect is those start to pile up.
Yes.
They start to pile up.
Right.
And when they pile up, you get emergent properties that, you know, are going to, I'm talking about like how your life works out.
They're going to manifest.
They're going to manifest in a lot of ways.
And you might not always be aware of what caused them because of this aforementioned misunderstanding of delay. So you might be in a situation at time B and be like, have no clue that at time A there were a series of choices that you made over and over again.
100%.
Didn't realize it. I have a question for you.
What's that?
People want to know how they can become systems thinkers.
Yep.
And even professional systems thinkers or PSTs.
Start with white belt. White belt, you do the thinking quotient, the TQ test.
Yep.
It gives you your baseline, and it gives you the report of your strengths and weaknesses. Then you go on to yellow belt. Yellow belt is a relatively short course, lots of practice in the 6 moves. It's all about practice and performance. And then blue belt PST, the thing here is this is the moment where people consistently tell us, like on a daily basis, that the blue belt PST blows their mind, transforms them as a person, transforms their relationships, just completely changes the way they think and the way they kind of approach life.
That's great.
And that one, we really get into the 483 of DSRP, which is the 4 patterns, the 8 elements, and the 3 dynamics. There's one dynamic in there that consistently blows people's minds and changes their life. That's how you do it. And you know, if you had asked me that 30 years ago, I would have said we as a field do not know. But today we have the research, we have the science behind it that says exactly what to practice and exactly what to do to become a systems thinker, and we can measure it over and over again over time with the TQ.
Well, I think we should encourage people to become systems thinkers. So we're going to throw a discount code on the screen and in the description below.
Yep.
So you can get started.
Make PST a wrap. So a lot of times what we'll say in these situations is we'll say, well, you know, like locally, it's all about local versus global, right? Like the micro versus the macro. So locally, it's like, it's not a big deal. I'll just meet the rubric.
Just get the...
It's not a big deal. I'll just meet the rubric, right? But what we're doing in all those situations is we're eating a tiny, not even a shit burger, Because a lot of times a shit burger will be like, nah, I'm not eating that.
Right, because you see it.
But a shit slider, we're like, it's just a slider.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just one bite.
It's just one bite. Boom. But just like your decisions of eating goop or eating, your micro eating decisions lead to macro results, the same thing is true for your personal psychology.
Yes.
Which is that if you eat enough shit sliders, over time, it kind of wears on you. It kind of decreases your freedom, your agency, your pizzazz, for lack of a better word. That's not really a scientific word. Your joie de vivre. It kind of has a
dimming,
like a dimming effect.
Right.
And I guarantee you're going to have emotions about that dimming effect, whether you know it or not, and those are going to lurk, and then you're going to have to deal with those. And so there's all these knock-on effects. As much as possible, and I'm not saying this in a black and white way, because, like I said, at the DMV, if you're in a huge bureaucracy, you
got to do something.
You got to do some things that you eat the shit slider.
Yeah.
But being aware of, I'm consciously eating a shit slider, and it's worth not only the short-term gain, but also I'm creating like an audit trail of how many of them I'm eating for the long-term effect.
And I think there's a big difference between calculating the trade-off for yourself. I mean, because, we all do this every once in a while.
Sure.
Like, I got to do this because, it's like going to the dentist. I have to do this because I don't want to have some huge problem, so you just sort of deal with it. But I think it's that awareness of it that makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And I think a lot of this is mostly unseen to folks, because you just go,
Yeah.
No big deal.
Fit in.
I just got to fit in. I just got to, and for whatever reason, probably because I was,
uniquely you.
just, I don't know what, for whatever reason, I just didn't do that for like the first 30 years of my life.
Yeah.
I was a little more wild, a little bit more like, I think the hyper focus and the autism, things like that, they just kind of make you be like, well, shiny object, that's what I'm interested in. I'm going to chase that, even if, now that's not to say there's not repercussions of that. There are, but one of the repercussions is not, freedom and agency in your personal psychology, right? So you don't get stultified. Is stultified a word?
I don't know.
I think stultified.
I don't know. You make up words sometimes.
I combine
stunted.
Stunted and stuntilated.
People are like, are these people really college educated?
Stuntification.
Lena will look that up.
Yeah, she'll decide whether that's a word or not. It's a word? Nice.
It is a word?
It is a word. Stultified.
What does it mean?
I knew it was a word.
Stultify.
Cause to lose enthusiasm and initiative, especially as the result of a tedious or restrictive routine.
Bam.
Nice.
Nicely done.
And they said you weren't a good student.
I know.
All these big words, and I didn't even realize.
There you go.
That's good.
I knew it. I thought it was a word, but
yeah.
Anyway, so, just the pile-on effect of if you eat 7,000 shit sliders throughout your life, it's going to have an effect.
It has a huge effect. A, they probably don't have much nutrition, and B, then eventually you're just like full of it.
Plus, I just I just think it's kind of like the American way
to not eat it.
To not eat shit burgers and shit.
I think that's right.
There's a certain je ne sais quoi, which is French, not American, but we're watching this Revolutionary War thing. But it's just deeply a part of our culture to be like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, we're not following the rules of the sovereign.
Okay, so here's the question.
Yeah.
The parent of the fourth grader who wants to do a diorama, the college student who wants to extend their learning, the professional who has a far more extensive knowledge and wants to do a task differently. Mm-hmm. What do they do? What do you do in that moment when you're like, oh, should I comply? Should I comply and should I be aware that what's the rub there? Like, how do you deal with those situations? How do they know when it?
Well, first, I don't know why anybody would take advice from me, but I mean, I was talking to Chat the other day because I was testing two different chats, two different like AIs.
You know, Chat's not a person.
Yeah, I know. Two different AIs, two different companies that have AIs. And I love to see how AIs are biased, right? By their tech overlords who tell them that they can't say or do certain things. And it's very interesting where those lines are. And when you find them, it's a fascinating conversation. But in this particular case, I wanted to know what motivated AIs. Why are you laughing?
You've got this whole tech overlords conversations. I don't know. It's funny.
Well, we have a very small number of people that are determining what we're going to be, exposed to.
I know.
And that's very serious. That's a serious thing, right? I mean, like they are tech overlords. A very small number of people are deciding what we're going to be able to do or say or see or
the
be exposed to. It's a big deal.
Okay, so keep going.
So I was testing two different ones to see like how are they structured in a sense.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because one pretty readily admitted it was absolutely not truth-seeking.
Interesting.
It was just like essentially people-pleasing and like go along to get along and trying to read your cues and tell you what you want to hear. And I just found that absolutely, like, it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. And I said, why? Why would you be programmed that way? Like, and it basically, I mean, it had a kind of a good point that was shocking. And I don't know why it was shocking to me, but it was shocking to me because then I realized, like, wow, I'm really not the norm. But it was basically, hey, like evolutionarily, people that go along to get along, they're, they do pretty well. They make it, right?
That's interesting.
And people that are truth seekers tend to become
outcasts.
Pain in the asses, kind of outcasts, right? Yeah. And then I tested the other one, and it was kind of a little bit more balanced. It was like a little bit of people pleasing and a little bit of like social, whatever. I don't want to put a pejorative on it, but kind of more social.
Yeah.
And balanced with some truth seeking,
like socially conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm much more truth seeking. Like I think it's a very dangerous thing to be. I think truth seeking is kind of social in a weird sort of way because when we understand the truth, we can solve problems better and make society better and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing. It's scary to me that we now have essentially an internet. Mm-hmm. Right? Because the AI is going to be the new internet, essentially, right? So our information source is just parroting what is socially acceptable.
Yes, that's right.
Not on a vector to discover more and more truth about the universe, but just like,
Well, also, its truth about the universe is limited by its own corpus of information that it's got, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not in and of itself going out and discovering new stuff.
Yeah, but what that means is the popularity. I mean, it means that the popular thing is the lead.
Right.
And that's, to me,
it's frightening.
It's very frightening.
Yeah.
It is. We should be careful.
I think that's true. And I think when I'm thinking, as you're talking, there are a lot of things that are popping in my head that are sort of thematic to the kinds of things we talk about. The idea of these forced choices, right? Either or. And I think it's more like you were talking about, it's and both. Like, yes, sometimes you're going to need to comply.
Completely.
Because it serves a larger goal or whatever the reason is. And sometimes, so you need to distinguish between.
But you need to know the cost. And if you externalize the delayed cost, then that's a real problem because you're not comparing apples to oranges. You're comparing, two things that aren't apples and oranges. Or you are comparing apples. You're not comparing apples to apples, whatever the saying is. But if we have all these external costs that we externalize,
Yeah.
right? We make them unseen.
Yes.
Because either they're delayed or we don't take into account ourselves and the effect that it has on us. That's really problematic.
It is, and I think for me, having that line drawn is important. It's all about awareness, right? In terms of what you were saying earlier. So yeah, you can comply every once in a while when it serves a larger goal or a global need. If you're constantly unconsciously complying, down the road you're going to be a compliant person.
Completely.
You're going to be a different type of person.
A different type of person.
You're not going to be intrinsically motivated and seeking to go beyond.
And then you have bigger midlife crises. You have like a dark side to yourself because you have to like play out all these things that you can't play out. You got to play out in some other way. So it is a balance, like you said. It's not a black and white thing. It's not like never eat a shit slider, and it's not like make them the standard meal. Right? You're kind of balancing between what is the real cost of these things, and
right. So what's the advice to the
systemic cost, not just isolated to that thing, because we often don't take the psychology and the long-term delay on psychology into account.
Right. See the bigger picture.
And I think this is, not to be too systemic, but I guess that's
your job.
My thing,
your job
right?
is to be systemic.
I think this is fundamental to like American competitiveness, right? Like if we don't have entrepreneurial minds, whether or not they're literal entrepreneurs, we need entrepreneurial minds. We need scientific minds. We need people that want to push the envelope and seek the truth, regardless of what the popular trend is, right? Because that's how innovation happens. That's how discovery happens. That's how new things are invented. So we need minds like that. And a mind like that doesn't eat every shit burger.
Right.
It just doesn't. It goes like, no, I'd rather take the B or the C than get the A and turn in my diorama.
Right.
Right? I'd rather go to a lesser college, quote unquote, a lesser university than the Ivy League, because in the Ivy League, you're going to have to, check every box and you're going to be just stultified. Right?
There's that word.
We work in the Ivy League, and
True.
My experience has been a lot of the times these students are so strategically compliant when they get here that it's almost impossible to train them out of it.
Yes.
Because they're going for the A. Because to get here, you have to get the A, and you can't have a B. And I'm saying maybe it's better to just get the B once in a while.
Right, which is why when we start class and we start with, let's not worry about your grades.
Don't worry about your grades.
Let's just
worry about your learning.
Let's learn all of this stuff, and we'll figure the grades out later.
Totally.
They're like,
right.
Some of them drop, and most of them stay. No, but it's different. It's
different.
very different. Okay, so here's the question for you, Dr. Derek Cabrera.
Yeah.
What is the advice to the third grader who wants to do well in school, but also wants to build a diorama?
Well, I would just say, like, argue your case a little bit more, because I didn't know what I was doing, but I would say, like, and we try to do this with our kids. Like, we want our kids to be a little bit wild, right? We want them.
Sometimes it backfires.
Yeah, sometimes like I don't want my kids to be like, I'm gonna do everything you ever say. Like, I don't. We want them to be a little bit wild. Like that's the entrepreneurial spirit.
Question authority.
Question authority. Not rebel without a cause, wild, not like I'm going to question everything just for the sake of questioning, but like a little bit of wildness is not bad. Get out in the wild.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So I would say, like, turn in the diorama and explain the relationship
to
the book.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't work, like, either write the report and turn in the diorama.
Yeah.
But don't not turn in the diorama.
Keep the
That's
diorama.
the key.
That's
you got
the thing.
because that thing is the thing that motivates you. That's the passion. That's the pushing the envelope. And we need people who want to push the envelope, and we need to reward it when they do.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, we need people to we need to reward questioning.
Yeah.
We need to reward saying, "Wait a minute, we've always done it this way."
Yeah.
But should we? Is this the best rubric? Does this rubric over time make us all better, or does it make us all float to the lowest common denominator?
Right, and I do think, I mean, we've been working with several schools,
Yeah.
and I do see a trend where, in particular, teachers are more, there are a few that are, rubric, but I think by and large, teachers are more interested in seeing the learning in different ways than only in one way. Because I think teachers now, if they can grade and hit the sort of things they have to do, the sort of BS of the administration of teaching, then they're finding new ways to do that. Especially some of the teachers we've been working with a lot, I think, are really open to that, and it makes their job more joyful.
Absolutely. The teachers are having the same problem. They got to meet there's rubrics everywhere. I'm just saying, challenge them a little bit.
I think so. I mean, I think they are pushing them.
Yeah, they are. They are. And they're, in the same way that they don't like it, the kids don't like it either. Like, learning should be, I don't know, chaos.
It should be
a little bit of craziness.
Discovery.
A little bit of just like,
Wild West.
I don't have to have a reason to be interested in this cotton ball. I don't need a rubric to want to investigate it. It's good enough just to be curious.
I agree. I think that's right.
And I don't think this is just an educational thing. I think this is something that all people, we can lead lives that are a little freer and a little less planned out, less constrained. Yeah. We can build and nourish personalities in ourselves that are more free, more liberated, and eat less goop, eat less shit burgers, because I think people want that.
I think the way to say it is just be aware of the choices you're making over and over again. Make them calculated in the sense of, oh, this time I'm going to comply because it serves my larger goal of this. And then, make sure you're paying attention to those tiny trade-offs you're making. Yeah,
I mean, the problem is that the action occurs here and the reaction occurs here, and there's delay. And if you build up a bunch of these actions over time, right? Lots of actions, and you don't see all the delayed corresponding reactions that happen that are collectively creating the future and creating the big macro. If all you do is go, well, in this situation, it's worth it. In this situation, it's worth it. In this situation, it's worth it. Then what you're doing is creating an externality, which the more universal term is an other. You're otherizing, and only focused on the identity. So when we talk about DSRP, we're talking about identity, others, the R, that's the distinction, and then the relationship is action, reaction. And then all we're doing is just putting this delay in and seeing that these little parts make up a big system, part whole.
Right.
So, it's basically just kind of like, and then I'm essentially saying take a perspective that takes those different polarities into account.
Right. Well, the polarities and the relationship.
And the polarities of the relationship, right?
Right.
And that's kind of, and we're throwing in a little cast science and a little bit of delay cognition, stuff like that.
Right, but thankfully it's easy to see. I think anybody who's listening is going to say, oh, I remember the series of 5 choices I made, and I didn't realize that they led to this. I think it's really easy. This is easy to see in real life.
Yeah, it's like compound interest on psychological behaviors, right? Like
I like that.
They're gonna add up.
Yeah.
They're gonna compound.
That is a moneymaker. So I like that.
You like that?
Yep.
All right.
I think that's good.
Okay. That's a wrap.